Hall Vineyard. My name's Sarah, and I'm working with a colleague today called Dave. We're in the one of our two fields, Warren Field. In this field we've got our mainly Bacchus planted, but also some Pinot Noir. And this field we've struggled with getting the vines to establish. It's not as sheltered as our next door field, but we've finally got there. Our Bacchus is finally properly established, and we hope for it to be yielding next year. We've also got Pinot Noir in that block over there. We're organic here, hence the weeds. We've currently got sheep in this field. I'm not quite sure where they are. They'll turn up if we leave the gate open. So during the winter the sheep will knock down all our weeds, get the grass down, but the rest of the time it's our volunteers who do that work, and it's really, you know, hard work. We're a community project. We're totally run and sustained by volunteer effort. We do have a vineyard contractor who comes in and does our tractor work. We're certified by the Soil Association, but we are allowed to spray sulphur and bicarbonate of soda, which as disease prevention primarily. And the diseases that we struggle with are powdery mildew in the main. We've never had botrytis. We had a little bit of I can't remember the name of the other mildew. Cut that bit. Powdery mildew, and it'll come to me. Okay. We've got about 14,500 vines altogether over the 10 acres. So when we finally get to full production, we're hoping to have about 15,000 bottles of wine a year. It's been a struggle. We've had lots of challenges from weather, from less disease this year, but the weather has been a problem. We were very badly hit by frost this year. You probably heard that story. So I'll take you through to our next field. But everything you see, like the shelter, the furniture, these are all stuff we've raised money for. The shelter next door was actually built by one of our volunteers, so I'll take you through to see that.
I'm going to wait here because I'm going to dodge your knee.
Okay. Have a taste of the sparkling.
And you are the only vineyard in London, aren't you?
We're
the Greater London area.
Scale vineyard. There are lots of small community vineyards, and obviously people on their allotments are growing vines. But we're the only one actually making and selling commercially, and we're really only starting that seriously this year. We've now got an online shop, which we didn't have before, so we can sell from the farm shop here, but we also sell online, which obviously widens our reach massively. We're also I don't know if you know this, we're also a mental health and wellbeing project. So we have a sort of triple bottom line, you know. So we need to make money from the wine sales, but we're also very concerned about the environment, and we're concerned about sort of social impact. I remember you two. In here. And this is the bigger of the two fields. And
what's the name of the field again?
Long Field.
Long Field. Long Field.
That isn't the end. It kind of bends round and goes a lot further. Oh, on the park, yes.
The names of the fields are on a map that we've got from 1802.
Yes. So Warren Field, there was a rabbit warren. You know, they bred rabbits, and the building's still there. They're trying to restore it actually. So in this block we've got Chardonnay immediately here, then our Ortega, then our Pinot, which is a mix of Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier, and then in the far block we've got more Bacchus. And this has always been a more successful field. It's more sheltered, the soil is more, it's got more water retention. It's got the slope, we've got the slope there next door as well, but the soil next door is really dry. There's virtually no organic matter. So we get, I don't know if you saw the big pile in the other field, we get free organic matter from London Eco Waste. We get it delivered free, and then our volunteers or other people that we can rope in put it on there. But we're constantly trying to build up the soil structure, and especially in that field.
You haven't got any replanting yet, which means that the vines have been more successful.
From day one this was more successful in here. So it's really interesting, you know, within the same tiny plot, two fields next to each other, completely different experience. So what should I say about this? So the Chardonnay forms part of our sparkling blend. This year we had a lower crop on the Chardonnay. So what happened this year was that there was a very late frost, devastating frost that hit the whole of the UK vineyards and France and Italy. And what we did here is we pulled off all the frozen shoots, which looked like a blowtorch had hit them, and then it regrew back, but you never get the yield with the second shoots. Then there was a very good hot spell that brought everything on very quickly. We were then, in July, there was about 3 weeks of very warm, damp weather, which is great for disease and very bad for our grapes. So we got more disease this year than we've had before. And then we had some problem, which we have every year, with birds. Yeah, so the combination...
Not as bad as commented on in the press,
Not as bad as that, no, that was vastly exaggerated. I mean, the biggest problem this year was frost, not that. But birds, you know, I mean, we expect to lose some to birds, you've got to be realistic. But we do need to kind of keep on top of it. I mean, the parakeets are a different problem.
And what can you do about it?
Well, we're investigating that. We've found possibly a new machine that tapes parakeet distress calls, and you can put that out. And well, I don't know, it's very expensive. We haven't got money for it at the moment, and they might get used to it. Don't know. We'll be doing lots of research about. I think we might be the only vineyard with a problem at the moment because we are in London, but I'm sure the parakeets started in southwest London, so I'm sure some of the southwest vineyards are going to have problems soon.
So when did you harvest this year? Then
our last pick was on the when was it, Dave? It wasn't the 5th, it was the last week of September, wasn't it? The last Wednesday.
Yeah, that's right.
And normally we're picking it into the 1st or 2nd week of October.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yes,
So and we were picking much earlier in September, and the Pinot we picked early, and it was already some of it beginning to get almost overripe. It was so ripe, but then the other half of the Pinot wasn't ripe enough. So it's just kind of like
Is it warmer here because you're close to an urban centre, so more heat and so on?
There's a kind of residual heat from the city because we always pick at least a week before our winemaker, who's in Kent, sometimes 2 weeks before. And we're earlier than everyone else, so I think it must be that. It is a shelter spot. I mean, it is an ideal spot in lots of ways. You know, we're on good soil, well-draining soil. There is the slope. This field is more sheltered, but we rely on good canopy management and good air circulation to reduce our disease.
How severe is the pruning?
So we've adopted this new style of pruning that's been kind of re-established in Italy, based on pruning in France in about the 1850s, and it's been dubbed gentle pruning now. And so what we're trying to do is get the vines to feel like they can expand sideways and they're not being stunted. So the gentle pruning method is quite complex, but it basically is supposed to extend the life of the vine and its vigour, and not stunt it by allowing it still to kind of grow out sideways. So you basically end up with, we do single guillot here, which means that we lay down one cane. But we're basically...
Do you want to show it to us?
Yes, I'll see if I can find a good example of one. We're sort of growing to a Y is the idea.
Let's go and have a look.
Oh God, don't film for a bit. I might like Dave to remind me about how we're going to do this. So, trying to guess it. Can you see one that's a good example?
Gradually expands
Yes.
along the wires,
And
with
you
the
guess
new growth coming from the ends each year.
Yeah, so this is what they call the gentle pruning
Gentle
And in that
technique.
way,
I don't
you
know if this is
taken
an
from
ideal example. of
Italy.
one.
you get less dead wood, and the sap comes up the outsides and goes out through the Y and into the growth, so it isn't blocked by dead wood that you've cut off.
Yeah, and you're not getting lots of growth from the centre of the crown. You're just removing that if it comes.
I mean, the pruning this year was somewhat affected by the frost because we had less choices of what to keep and what to get rid of.
When do you do it?
Well, we've traditionally done it in February, but we've decided this year to bring it, because we still get frost. So the reason we did February is because we're frost prone here, and if you prune later, you know, the shoots come up later, and so you hopefully avoid the frost. However, with this kind of late frost coming and devastating us anyway, we've decided to prune from January, because we're just getting behind with all our vineyard kind of interventions. It's a big job. It's a big job. So we're going to start the first week of January this year. A lot of people start in December. Depends where you are and how big you are. It is a massive job.
You have to train your.
We do training every year, you know, and you can see I'm rusty. I need to be retrained again. Because by the time you come back to it, you've done so many other things during the year, you've got to kind of get your head back into kind of pruning mode. Important aspect of what we do here is our social enterprise, and our social kind of mission is to engage people in feeling less isolated, getting out into the open air, improving health and mental health and well-being. And there's a term that's been coined called ecotherapy, which basically means that it's now evidence-based that people feel better if they work with other people in the outdoors on something meaningful. And in our sessions we have trained people who take an ecotherapy role, which is really just somebody to be there to meet and greet and welcome, and if someone wants to talk about things that they're struggling with, there's a listening ear.
How many people volunteer here?
We've got, at the moment, we've got about 65 people registered.
65.
On any session, we're between 20 and 30 volunteers. We have Wednesday mornings and 2 Sundays a month. And we're trying to get funding to expand the ecotherapy side of what we're doing. But if and when we go into profit, the profit will be recycled into social programs like the ecotherapy and training for volunteers and other support for volunteers. So we have 3 bottom lines. We've got the commercial bottom line. We're very, committed to the environmental bottom line. Everything we do is organic. We try and keep our carbon footprint to a minimum. We're hoping to start using some horse work in the vineyard to lower the tractor use. And the third bottom line is our social impact. What we're doing to benefit the local community and local people.
And who is buying your wine mostly? I understand you don't export yet anyway, but...
We're not making enough to go down the export route. We have only sold from the shop locally, so I'm guessing it's mainly local people. We have had a couple of restaurants buy our wine last year, but this is the first year that we're really pushing ourselves out commercially.
And you have a website now that's online?
We have a new website that's online, which is from our 40 Hall Vineyard website.
40hallvineyard.com, so it's easy.
And so people can order wine from around the country and have it delivered directly to them.
And what's the production for the last vintage, let's say? Now you have 2015 available.
2015, we've got about 2,500 bottles to sell, which is a huge step up for us. So we'll tell you in a year who buys it. I don't know who's going to buy it yet, but we're hoping lots of people do. We really hope that commercial buyers like restaurants will see that where we put the price, and we're not discounting, but that they're buying not only to support a social enterprise and to support mental health work, but to support a really unusual small organic producer. So we're hoping that maybe some restaurants will just do a sort of a week special on our wine or something like that. Maybe they might not list us permanently, but it would be great if they would. But we really don't know. This is a new step for us about
the first year of production, the first vintage that we released
2013.
2013. So this is just the third time.
This is just the third, and I think in 2013 we had something like 150 bottles.
Okay.
2014 we had about 400 bottles, and 2015 we've got 2,500.
And so 2016 you must have an idea already.
It's going to be a dip down. I think we'll have about 2,000 bottles. The Pinot and the Chardonnay did the best. The Ortega was fine. The Bacchus was not good again.
And 2017, which you just harvested?
Oh, sorry, that's what I was talking about.
17.
2016. 2016 is about the same as 2015.
Okay. 2,500.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And then 2017, we were hoping for a big step up, but as I mentioned, all those things have kind
And of that, how much is sparkling? How much is still?
Of which year?
Of 2015, let's say,
2015,
which is available now.
We had about 1,200 still and about 2,500 sparkling.
Okay, so 2,500 is just a sparkling, and about half of that is the still Ortega.
But ultimately, we hope to have around about 10 to 15,000 bottles, of which half roughly will be sparkling.
So you're expanding, you're planting more around here?
No, that's just when all the vines become productive. Because
right?
It's a new vineyard, so and we've had struggles to establish. and we've had some very challenging years whilst we've been here. So yeah, it's nothing ever goes quite according to the business plan. The other people that we hope will kind of buy our wines are corporate groups who are trying to support social enterprise. There's a new government kind of not requirement but good practice about all companies buying from social enterprises to make sure that their procurement includes social enterprises on their list, so that the money is working twice as hard. You're basically buying a product but also investing in a social enterprise. So that we've got a lot of work to do to talk to corporates about trying to get them to, if they're doing internal gifting, somebody's retiring, someone's having a baby, instead of just buying a bottle of champagne, we might hope that they might buy a bottle of our English sparkling wine.
Good luck. Thank you very much. So we've been here at 40 Hall Vineyard, a vineyard in London, the only commercially viable vineyard in London, hopefully more and more viable. And thank you, Sarah, for everything you've said to us. We knew Enfield because they used to make guns and motorcycles, right. Yes. But now they make wine, so it's a good step forward.
Quieter and more ecological.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.